Well, Happy New Year, everyone. We are officially 7 minutes in to the new year. And look, tonight my wife's at work. My kids didn't make it to midnight. So I'm bringing in the new year with you guys. Let's get into it. Okay, so I really wanted to kick off the new year with a topic that's very near and dear to my heart, and that is camping with my kids. Now, I also think that there's a lot of you that want this video because I've been getting so many DMs and emails and comments and frequently asked questions on my videos around this subject that I definitely think it's worth addressing. Now, what I'm going to ask for you guys in this video is if you're dads and you do this already, please contribute in the comment section. And dads who are looking for advice and inspiration on how to take your kids out and do this kind of stuff, take a look at that comment section. I'm hoping that it's all going to be productive, so that way we can give out as much value as possible through this video. Now look, what I will start off by saying is I know some of the videos that I put out make it seem easy, like I've got it figured out, and the truth is I don't. The reality is a lot of the times when the difficult stuff happens, when we're on these trips and I'm camping with my kids, I'm just too busy dealing with the stuff for it to make it on video. And even if I had the time to film it, I probably wouldn't want it to be on video. And so it's definitely difficult, but it's so worth it. And I really would encourage any dad out there to do this with your kids. I promise you it will make your relationship with them better. Now, the first thing that I want to say is do this within your means. And if you want to do it right now. I get lots of comments of people saying, someday I'm going to build out my truck, and someday I'm going to do this, and someday I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to start taking my kids. Look, there was one guy who commented tonight, and I really liked this comment. Delvin said, "I've been in a rut. While I take my boys camping at campgrounds with a CRV packed with gear, I have been talking about getting a truck and getting into more dispersed camping. Unfortunately, between truck prices going crazy and inflation, it didn't make financial sense. However, it seems like in 2024, I finally get my chance. My hope is that with a truck, I can remove most of the friction when it comes to camping, and we can go more often for overnight trips as well." I think this is awesome. Delvin, I think you're already doing it, man. Look, there is nothing wrong with hitting up a campground with a CRV. That's where you're at. I think it's really cool to have the ambition of getting a truck and building it out. I mean, heck, I've got a whole entire channel basically designated for that. I've been building out my truck for years. I've been camping for years. And for the last 12 years, I've been trying to get the perfect setup. But you know what's kind of funny about all that is when I look back on all the different camping trips, and my setup has changed drastically over the last 12 years. The memories all kind of feel the same. And something I specifically learned about my kids this year is it doesn't really matter to them. They want to be on an adventure with their dad, and being there with you is really what matters. If you ask my daughter what her favorite memory was from our camping trips this year, she's going to tell you it's the night I called it quits and we stayed in a motel. Now, she is an adventurous kid. She loves the outdoors, but that just shows you how simple the kids are. And so this is something that I think a lot of us overthink as dads specifically, because we're like, taking my kids camping, that's a lot. It's crazy. I want to reduce. I mean, we're just wired this way, you guys. And you gotta come face to face with that. It is okay to be in a ground tent and camp and to deal with some of those more difficult things. And I promise going with your kids are worth it. Every once in a while, there is a campground in the Eastern Sierra that I love to return to every single year. The last 2 years, I haven't been able to make it just due to weather conditions and stuff. They haven't opened up. But there's nothing wrong with a good old campground. And I know most of my videos, you guys see us going out and finding dispersed campgrounds. But if that's where you're at, just do it. It's going to mean the world to your kids. I promise. Now, real quick, before we move on, I just wanted to take a moment and give one of you a shout out. Robert Campbell, you are my first official Patreon member. I wanted to thank you for signing up and supporting me over on that platform. For those of you who missed it, I did launch a Patreon tonight, and there's a bunch of member benefits. I won't go over them in this video. You can head over there to check them out. But for those of you who have been waiting for it, the Eastern Sierra video is live and available on that platform right now. Once again, thank you for everybody who signed up tonight. And Robert, thank you so much for being the first one. Let's get back to the video. All right, the next thing that I want to touch on is vehicle builds. Now, if this is something that you really do want to do, I think building out a vehicle for this lifestyle, if it's something that you're committed to, can be a great thing. It definitely can make going out more frequently and getting out to camp and setting up and all that kind of stuff, it can make it easier. And that's exactly why I've done it. I want to be able to go out and do this as much as possible. Now, there's definitely some things that I've learned over the years, and I want to share those with you right now. Now, everybody's got a different approach to doing this. So once again, if you've got some input and some suggestions, let us know down in the comments so that viewers that are seeking out this information, I have a feeling this is going to be the biggest topic of the video. Let them know so we can be as valuable and as much of a resource as possible when it comes to this area. This is what I've learned, and this is what's kind of worked for me. One, personally, I've kind of struggled with something when it comes to building out my vehicle. For too long, I was building it out for what I wanted. And you really need to build out your vehicle for the people in your life, the people that you want to take with you on your adventures. Now, I guess what I mean by that is, look, at first I started building out the truck in a family-focused way. But my wife wasn't really joining on the trips. The truck was super heavy. I got a little frustrated and I changed course. I always wanted the TACOMA to be very capable off-road. And so I started making it lighter and I started going down that path, which a lot of those modifications I don't regret. It's led to some really great adventures. But I did get carried away with it, and I got to a point where if my wife wanted to come, she no longer felt welcome because I didn't have space for her. Like literally, there was one trip we went on as an entire family during that season, and I had to bring a spare tent, and I slept on the ground. And the whole trip, she was feeling guilty about it. She was offering to sleep in the tent, and I was like, no, it's fine, But still, it's like that was a very poor decision on my part. Look, something I want to touch on, since we're kind of in this realm of things real quick, is whether your wife is into this or not, she should always feel welcome. And one of the biggest regret I've got in the last 12 years of doing all this kind of stuff is this one season of me not making sure my wife always felt included. Whether she wanted to come or not, she should always feel welcome. She should always feel included. And something I've noticed as me and my kids have done this a lot together, we developed these bonds and had some great memories, and there's the pictures and the videos. And I think sometimes she sees that and it sparks her interest a little bit more. And so I wouldn't be surprised at all if over the next year or so after the baby gets here, you guys start to see her join on these trips a little bit more often. I think the only reason she's not joining right now actually is because she's pregnant and the off-roading is not good for the pregnancy. There was just a power outage. I'm actually running all my stuff off of one of my power banks, and I think the kids are getting up right now because they're scared of the dark. Hold please. I'll be back. Come here, honey. You okay? Come here, sweetheart. Come here. Come here, sugar. Is it dark in there? It's okay. It was just a power outage. Man, we live in Southern California, and stuff like this has been happening all the time lately. I've got a couple power banks around, and I have them for camping trips, but dude, they come in so stinking handy for living in Southern California these days. Anyways, sorry about that. Back to the video. All right, power's back on. Now, where were we? Okay, so I just wanted to kind of wrap up the whole overland build thing. Look, I've given you some of the things that I've learned about it. But when it comes down to it, everybody's different. Your families, your needs, the kind of places that you're going to. I don't have all that information, and so I can't tell you what to go do. What I would suggest is this. Take what you have and go see what you need to fix. When we started really building out the truck, it was summer, gosh, like I don't know, a couple years ago now. Brooklyn was a year and a half, Henry was 6 months old, and there was this insane heat wave. And so we got off of that summer being like, all right, the things that we need to fix are, one, we need to do a fridge, because during that heat wave, I was having to refill ice like every single day in the cooler, and it was just such a pain in the rear. On top of that, with the kids so young, and I think the hot weather had a lot to do on my mental state as well, as far as having to pack up camp and set up camp for 4 people while Jamie, watched the kids. I was doing all that myself. And when you travel like we do, where we're going to different destinations every single day, that's an insane amount of work when it comes to a ground tent. And so the fridge and the rooftop tent were the 2 next things that we were going to address. And look, that's kind of how I've done things. Like I said, I've made mistakes along the way, but I think that's the best way to do it. Go see what is the biggest pain point that you experience with the gear you currently have, and that's your next thing when it comes to building out a vehicle. Now, I think I've got a really, really great setup for my needs right now. And if you're a big family, I would recommend taking a look at like the rooftop tent that we have by Terra Firma Overland. Mine's called the Summit Quad, and the thing is massive, and I should have gone in this direction from the get-go. The thing is like 76 inches by 96 inches, and so the ability to sleep so many people in there, like when the baby gets here, I have no doubt we're going to be able to sleep all 5 of us under one roof, and that means a lot to me. I really, really regret not going in this direction earlier on, but thankfully I've learned from my mistakes. And look, at the end of the day, go out, have fun. You're going to learn from yours as well. Now, I do want to touch on gear a little bit. Now, I do think oftentimes we get way too carried away with gear. Personally, I'm kind of a gear nut, and I like gear a lot, but I definitely take it too far sometimes. There are a couple things that I think actually have made a big difference when it comes to camping with my kids this year, though, and I want to touch on those. Number one, I'll probably say my propane fire pit. When it comes to the gear that I'm bringing and carrying, the things that I have to worry about the least and the things that take the least amount of effort are the types of things that I want to bring with me on my trips. Now, nothing really beats a good old-fashioned campfire, but man, there's so many places, especially in Southern California, where campfires are heavily regulated or banned, or there's just so many restrictions that it's become a very complicated mess that I've just decided, look, it's not camping without a campfire for me. I want to know that I can always have a campfire. So I've gone the propane fire pit route, and I actually really enjoy it. It's easy to set up. It's no more expensive than if you were to, buy logs from the store or something like that. Most places where we can have fires, you're banned from even picking up wood off the ground, which doesn't make any sense to me. But anyways, living in Southern California is an adventure. Propane fire pits have definitely been the way to go. Now mine, I'll link it in the video description. Pretty affordable, puts out a lot of heat. I just hook it up to a 20-pound propane tank. I had one of those little 5-pounder earlier, but it would go through it too quick. A 20-pounder will definitely get me through a weekend, probably get me through 2 weekends, and I really think that's the way to go. So another area really worth talking about, and it's kind of gear adjacent, is food prep. Just make things easy on yourself, as much as you can stomach it at least, but we tend to have things like quesadillas recently quite a bit. On the last trip we went on, I had top ramen. I brought oatmeal packets for breakfast. Just made it as basic as possible. Sometimes I'll get those little pre-ready, you pour the milk in them, sugar cereal packets. I don't know. I just try to make it fun for them and easy because the least amount of dishes that you have to worry about and all that kind of stuff, the better. You want to be spending your time enjoying the trip, enjoying hanging out with your kids, not doing tons and tons of dishes, especially because your attention is just being pulled in so many different areas when you're on these trips with your kids, that making these nice, elaborate camp meals that we like to see on YouTube videos, it's just not super practical for this stage of our lives. Now, something gear related along those lines, I like to bring a little pack out folding table that my kids can stand up next to, eat their food, and set their food on. Because at the stage that they're at right now, when they sit and try to eat their dinner in their camp chair, a lot of the times it ends up on the ground. Also gear related, just things that will hold their attention while I'm needing to do those busy work type things at camp, like setting up camp, packing up camp, cooking dinner, doing the dishes, stuff like that. And so I'll give them a little screen time. We bring an iPad on the trips, just one that they can share. I've got an iPad holder that snaps onto the back of the headrest in the Tacoma, so they can sit in their car seats and share a video, whether that be on the road, or sometimes I'll throw them in there while I'm, tearing down camp or setting up camp, stuff like that. They can watch a video while I do those things. I also have one that when I need a break at the end of the day, I usually put them in the tent a little early, let them watch a video. And that way, if I'm with my friends, I can have a little bit of time to myself and be an adult for a little while around the campfire while they watch a movie. They love it, and I get a little bit of a break. Honestly, it works out well. There's another iPad, like little clamp that will clamp onto. It's got a little arm on it, and so it can clamp onto a camp chair. It can clamp onto the bars that go across our rooftop tent. It's just really adjustable and kind of works in different scenarios. And so something like that. Now look, that's just a couple ideas that I wanted to give out, but not so much that you go and you purchase these items, more that you kind of see where I'm going with that mindset and apply it to your needs as needed. So I know we've covered quite a bit, but there are two more things that I really want to address. The first thing is, it's really important to have a really good support system around you. The first part of that is, look, when I go out on these trips and it's just me and my kids, those are the most memorable. Those are the most intimate because I've got their undivided attention. It's just the three of us and it's great. When I do those trips, my friends, Josh and Ryan, and my wife always have my GPS information. They know where I'm going to be and they know when they can expect to hear from me. And my buddy Ryan always lets me know, if I don't hear from you, I will come get you. And that's important to me because my kids are super young. If something ever happened to me out there, I would be very scared to think about what could happen to them in that type of situation because they are not old enough to fend for themselves. And so having a good support system that has got your back and you're checking in with is really important. In addition to that, most of my trips, I go with these people, and that's even better because the times where I'm needing to do the dishes or I'm setting up camp or that kind of stuff, a lot of the times they're there to help support me in those areas. And they love the kids. They play with the kids. Ryan and Lexi specifically. My really good friend Ryan, his wife Lexi, has just such a really nice connection with the kids, and they get along so well. I couldn't be more thankful for them. But having friends like that in your life to go on these trips with, to kind of help you, there's that quote, it takes a village. It really does, and it's no different when it comes to overlanding. So having a good support system is super important. Now, the last thing I want to bring up. I don't recommend doing this all the time, and if you watched my most recent video, I kind of addressed this topic. But look, it can be good sometimes for you to get out on your own and have a solo trip. Recently, I was at a point in my life where I was just overwhelmed with work and family life and everything, and I just needed a break. I thought I needed that as a more regular thing, but I went on this solo trip, and it was so good for me to decompress and de-stress and think about some important decisions I needed to make. But it also made me miss my kids greatly and appreciate how special our trips are together. And every once in a while, as dads and leaders of our families, we need that break. We need that time to decompress and de-stress. I will say this, camping with people is always better. But every once in a while, maybe a good solo trip would be good for you, especially at this point in your life. Obviously, make sure that you're coordinating with your wife in that situation, or your life partner, or whatever you want to call it. For me, it's definitely a wife. But look, make sure you're coordinating with her and you're not taking advantage of her in that situation. But I do think it can be something that's super beneficial. And if not that, maybe a trip with just the guys sometimes. So you can sit around the campfire with the boys, build each other up, have that encouragement, and just be an adult every once in a while. That can be really nice too. So don't forget to have trips like that. The vast majority of my trips are going to be with my kids. And honestly, at this point in my life, that's what I want to do more than anything else. But every once in a while, I'm human as well, and I need a break. And so don't forget to take care of yourself as well. Look, guys, I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions or you want to add to the conversation in any way, please do so in the comment section. If another video on this topic or related topics are needed in the future, I'd be happy to put it on another video. Thanks for watching, you guys. We'll see you in the next one. And once again, Happy New Year.